Let's begin by talking numbers. Specifically, a number we often hear in development circles. 1 billion. 1 billion people in the world are hungry. 1 billion don't have access to clean water. 1 billion people are barely surviving on less than $1 a day. Now, consider a different set of numbers. 1, as in one entrepreneur. Or 10, a 10-farm cooperative. Or 50, a 50-person factory. In a conversation that begins with 1 billion, these numbers may seem small. But this is how change begins. When one entrepreneur's vision transforms a community. When that 10-farm cooperative opens a market to tens of thousands. When that first factory is the catalyst for a whole new industry. This is how growth begins. This is how prosperity spreads. This is how we start to turn the tide against poverty, making things, growing things, and selling them to others. Business. So how do we make this happen? Well, that's where TechnoServe comes in. We were founded 42 years ago on the premise that the key to ending poverty is business, and that poor people themselves are the solution to transforming their own lives and communities. Our founder, Ed Bullard, was an inventor and a businessman. In 1968, Ed left his business, moved his family to a tiny village in Ghana, and volunteered to run a hospital. He met people who were smart, creative, hard-working, but incredibly poor. One day, standing in a field with a poor Ghanaian farmer, Ed realized that the primary difference between the two of them was access to the information, the tools, and the resources necessary to create thriving enterprises that could support their families and fuel economic growth within their communities. Ed started TechnoServe then to help put the same tools that made him successful in the hands of poor people with good ideas and a desire to make those ideas work. And we're still doing that today. To date, we've helped create or expand thousands of businesses, breaking the cycle of poverty for millions in more than 30 countries. Overcoming poverty is not about the difference between easy and hard. It's the difference between the familiar and the unfamiliar. And that's what TechnoServe does. We make the practice of business familiar. So, what does this actually look like? A great example is our work in Mozambique, once the world's leading exporter of cashews. But that country's 15-year civil war left the industry in ruins. By the late 1990s, Mozambican farmers were shipping what cashews they were producing to India for processing, and as a result, they were forfeiting a whole lot of their value. But we saw that cashews as an industry could help lift war-torn Mozambicans out of poverty. We started by training farmers to produce more and better nuts, and working with a local entrepreneur to build the region's first cashew processing plant in the desperately poor village of Namij. Within 2 years, the plant was employing more than 400 workers. Small businesses began to spring up in Namij to support the plant and its workers, and eventually other entrepreneurs opened up new factories in the region. Today, more than 150,000 Mozambican factory workers and farmers are enjoying higher income thanks to the reliable local market for their raw cashews. And somewhere in that village of Namij, someone is saving their extra earnings and using their new skills to launch their own business. What's been set in motion in this tiny village is self-perpetuating, a sustainable solution to poverty. This is what success looks like: a growing economy, a thriving village, a stable, healthy family, a person with pride in their own capability to change the world, given the right tools and information. This isn't a theoretical exercise. This is practical, on-the-ground, daily work based on more than 40 years of experience and the ingenuity and determination of thousands of people in the developing world who have great business ideas and need some help in implementing them. We judge our success by whether the communities we work in now have self-sustaining businesses, whether those businesses are perpetuating the growth of other businesses, and whether the skills we've imparted have spread. We judge our success on the same things that transform Namij: schools, intact families, well-fed children, the real indicators of prosperity. These are the terms by which the people we work with judge success as well, because it's their farms, their businesses, their future.